Hello everyone, Sibilet back with another UPL match here. This time we've actually got a substitute in, so King Billu's been subbed out for Maris Bonibell. Maris is very good at RBY low tiers in general, I would say, also pretty good at RBY OU. Not as experienced in Ubers as some players, but I did think she should have been starting in this tournament. Playstyle wise, I would place her more in the camp of like me and Ghastly's in terms of brings, but she's definitely very experimental and willing to bring some weird stuff that people haven't seen yet. But ultimately, Billu getting subbed out, Voivillain's trying something different, so we'll see how that goes versus Unowndragon here in this week 3 game. Let's jump right into it. So Mewtwo lead from Maris, that's pretty much exactly what I would expect because she's aggressive like that. Versus a Zapdos lead, not the lead you want versus this Mewtwo because a couple of Blizzards will just delete it. Now, Unowndragon risking the crit Blizzard or the freeze or what have you to T-Wave this Mewtwo and probably going to bail out now to Cloyster or something. Yep. So Cloyster coming in, Maris not getting the best luck right here, but Clamp misses some good luck because she should be able to T-Wave it back. Blizzard Psychic, I'm surprised there was no T-Wave. And going to Tauros now, expecting another Blizzard to come in. Ooh, critical hit Clamp is not good. That would have done like maybe 7-8% without that crit. So pretty tough. Now Mew in on Zapdos, probably considering going right back to that Mewtwo. But actually stays in, probably clicking T-Wave. So gets a T-Wave on the Zapdos while it's expecting the Mewtwo to come in. Now maybe a T-Wave coming back as Mewtwo gets back in. But actually smart double to Cloyster, calling out that the Mewtwo is probably going to come in to block Para after the Mew got the T-Wave. And Maris going to Tauros to try to force out this Cloyster. But Tauros is taking a lot of damage. I don't know if I love this position for her with all the fast Pokemon getting worn down really hard. From Unowndragon, it's hard to determine much of the team. From Zapdos Cloyster reveal, Tauros helps a bit. Now I'm thinking there's a decent chance of like T-Wave Mew and some other support to help push through with physical offense. I wouldn't be surprised to see one more physical attacker and T-Wave Mew and T-Wave Mewtwo. I would be a bit surprised to see T-Wave Mewtwo actually from Unowndragon. I don't think that's really his style, except for like lead Mewtwo. But I think it would fit what we've seen so far fairly well. Could also be like a win con Mewtwo with Amnesia 2 attacks and rely on allies to get some of that initial damage in para. But that would probably mean the last has to be something that can spread paralysis. And here I think you probably want 2 physical attackers and a bunch of para spreaders. We'll see. Slowbro coming in to catch what might be a Hyper Beam, but it's just a Body Slam. And Maris's team is interesting. So we've seen lead Mewtwo, Tauros, T-Wave Mew, Slowbro. This feels like a team that wants to force paralysis really hard, which makes me think that either she's got like a Cloyster or something else that has some partial trapping in the back, or she's got like an Articuno. And I think Articuno would be cool. You'd have dual win cons with Slowbro plus Kuno. That covers really well for any physical offense archetype, and it's really good at forcing para. So we'll see what comes out. But going to Mewtwo, of course, you don't want to lose your Slowbro to the Zapdos, just getting a crit or something. And this Mewtwo not really playing the game very much, and I doubt it has Recover and Lead, so it's going to have very limited utility. Unowndragon not willing to go to Cloyster and risk getting T-Waves on entry, which would be really bad against the rest of what Maris has revealed. But this Mewtwo just not connecting. She's really not getting the value that this Mewtwo should have gotten at all. And that's it. Mewtwo losing to Zapdos. That you don't see that very often. So Tauros gonna come in, but this is like a bad percentage where you have to play some like mind games with Hyper Beam, but she does get it right. And now in comes Egg. Pretty hard to do anything about sleep here, so just taking the damage. And at this point, it's hard to figure out exactly how you're going to get in on Egg and not lose. And if this is a stun spore, it's even worse. But even if it's not, Mew is so low that recovering means you get stunned anyway. So now looking tough. I'm not envying her chances here. This egg can probably just rip the boom at some point and get it. It's pretty hard to predict that right because Tauros doesn't take Psychic very well. But it might be a little while before he commits that play. I would do it here. Forcing this Mewtwo out at 45 is worth it, even if you lose your egg here. Even if it's at -2 and you can keep psychicking it, I think you just rip the boom anyway. So he eventually does get it and get it right, but I think on the 45% turn would have been a better turn to use it. And I think Maris couldn't really go to Tauros on that turn anyway because there was just way too much pressure. So Cloyster coming in, clicking Clamp. That I really don't like. I think if you have Cloyster in there, which I think is the right idea to stop her from sending out an egg and just sleeping you, I think you have to boom. Or at least Blizzard. Like, Blizzard is fine. If you hit the Slowbro, whatever, you still have chances to threaten boom. If you hit the Blizzard on egg, that's like 50%, and you can pressure it after. So I think that was very greedy of him, and now he's going to be forced to boom the Mew. And this doesn't look great for him, but Tauros is still extremely threatening, and I mean, Tauros is Tauros. You never know what it's going to do. Now, sacking the Tauros, I'm not sure I love this from Maris because if he has something like a setup Mewtwo last, it could be really bad if it comes in and gets some free setup, but it doesn't seem he does. We're just going to push with Tauros. That para is really important. Oh, that's really bad. So Maris having some really bad luck here. And tail whipping, instead of just pushing here, I guess that's to make sure that it can't just rest up, but I think you could have just pushed first. And there is a Kuno last from her. So going to it immediately, a little bit scary. Maybe you have to sack the egg first, but I understand wanting to keep the boom in case you can get some para with Slowbro, and of course the Tauros is parad. Now, if this Mewtwo has Recover and Amnesia, then this Articuno is not winning without a freeze. So in her shoes, I'm clicking Blizzard definitely at first because you want to do as much damage as possible and force the Mewtwo to recover so you have more freeze chances. But, oh, yeah, I don't think you can go straight to Slowbro. Even without like that drop, it's not like it was going to tank Psychic. So I think that's a bit of a mistake. I think you have to just sack the egg or leave the Kuno in and keep hitting until it goes down. But either way, like this Slowbro was not really going to be able to heal. It would have been slower than Mewtwo, of course. You don't have time to T-Wave and then rest, and then it just pounds you with +2 or +4 psychics. Yeah, this was definitely not a super winnable position because the Mewtwo is not T-Waved. But that helps. Now there's maybe a small chance. 256 would have been like a chance to win, but ultimately it is 1 out of 256, not the most likely thing. As I say, as I say it. Oh man. Even so, this is still going to be a loss without a full para, but one full para and this is a game. No such luck. That's so funny that the Mewtwo still almost lost it at the end, right after I thought the 256 chances were over. So, Unowndragon taking game 1. Unfortunate for Maris that it went that way, but on to game 2. Actually, let's look at the teams for a second first. So, Amnesia, Psychic, Ice Beam, Mewtwo. Again, I've stated many times, not a very big fan of this set. I don't know. Like, I think that he had maybe the right support around it. T-Waver plus Eggy plus Boom Mew suggests to me this is probably like T-Wave, something else, Boom. And then you got Chloe Tauros to do some physical pressure and get some more para off of Tauros. So I think like there's right support around it, but I just don't see a reason that this wouldn't just run Blizzard. If you want to do this set, just run Blizzard. It's better. So yeah, and on Maris's side, I actually really like the dual win con idea with Slowbro Articuno. Either Slowbro setting up paras for Articuno to clean through the other team afterward, or you just have Kuno as like this strong answer to Mew and physical attackers, and then Slowbro to clean up at the end versus Mewtwo if it's a set like this. But it doesn't work out here. I think the paralysis hurt a lot, especially early on when the Mewtwo just died to Zapdos when it could have gotten out of there at like 80% if things just went better. So a bit unlucky, but I like the team idea. I do wonder what this Muse set was. If it had Thunderwave Soft Boiled, I'm hoping it was like Psychic Explosion. I think that would have been good for this team, but we'll never know. So on to the next. Egg lead versus Tauros lead. So of course Tauros is going to attack and Egg is going to click sleep. Nice crit, no para, and the sleep lands. So pretty neutral outcome there. It's not horrible on Maris's side, although hard Cloister into Executor is pretty dire. That suggests that she needs to protect her Mew and Mewtwo from paralysis, which unideal. And she has a Chansey. Okay, so no Chansey into the Stun Spore is odd. I definitely understand like the fear of letting up an explosion, but I don't think it's that scary. I think you can definitely like bait the explosion and get some value afterward with your own egg. But now she's going to threaten sleep in return. I don't know why Unowndragon is clicking Seismic Toss there, really. I feel like you want to, I don't know, like I'm going to go back to this turn. Right here, I don't think you want to just come in with Chansey and toss this down. I think you want to click T-Wave and expect to switch out because, like, why would you go for this with Cloister this early? Yeah. So it's like not a bad play. It's kind of the safe click, but I don't really agree with doing that this early. If it booms the Chansey, I think you're actually kind of happy with that. So now Chansey going to click Sangs. Unowndragon probably going to go back to Egg and sack that. Or just going to keep pushing the Chansey. So wants to lose the Chansey for Chansey here. Kind of just running the slow backup sleeper idea, and then Egg will come in on any move and threaten to boom. I don't know if I love this. Don't know if I love that either, but like I think losing the Chansey to boom there is not a big deal. It kind of did its job already. But I do think she could have called it with the Tauros. And now both going to Mewtwo makes me think it's going to be two T-Wavers or that Unowndragon's going to do this Amnesia, Ice Beam, Psychic stuff and just try to win a freeze war, which I really hope he doesn't. I don't think that's like a good way to play the game. But that is what he's doing. Or, okay, getting out of the Cloister suggests that it's Mono Blizz. Okay, I'm a lot happier with that. And Mew coming in, clicking T-Wave, expecting something to come in that isn't Mewtwo, and now Rhydon coming in to challenge the Snorlax. Now that it's paralyzed, even if you take Body Slam Para on entry, it's not the worst. Still not ideal. And that really sucks. So, Mara's also doing this Cloydon Chansey idea we saw before in prior weeks. I think this might be the exact same team, actually. I can't remember who ran it, but obviously it wasn't her because she wasn't starting yet. But I think I expressed I don't really love the idea in Ubers. And I think it's already kind of not doing so great here. It's a bit slow. It's a bit forcing of your Mew and Mewtwo to be able to support that for like not really enough offense in return when you have a Chansey. But Mew setting up. And now +2 Earthquake, pretty threatening, but Mew will still be faster than Mewtwo here, so this is a bit scary, but Para. That's unlucky. She should have had a full health Mew. So Golem coming in. Golem doesn't even KO from here. Looking like physical offense from Unowndragon with a bit of support from T-Wave Mewtwo. But Mara's just not getting lucky. Like this Mew paralyzing over and over in the Mewtwo last game, just really costing. And now this Golem's just going to Earthquake this down and then probably sub up. I don't think you have a reason not to with the Cloister paralyzed, unless you just don't want to risk the Tauros waking, which is also fair. Yeah, so not risking it. Fair, very restrained play. And now Mewtwo's in. And oh, I guess there's no sub, actually. If it's showing Body Slam, it could have dropped Rock Slide. I don't know if I drop Rock Slide versus someone like Maris, who's very likely to bring Cloister and Egg a lot of the time. But it could be Earthquake Body Slam sub boom or Earthquake Body Slam Rock Slide boom. Hard to know. Either way, the Snorlax is looking like a threat. Again, like I mentioned last time I saw a team like this, I just don't think Cloydon is very good in Ubers because almost every Snorlax is 4 attacks. So every time it gets in, it's pressuring, and as soon as it paralyzes the Cloister with a Body Slam, or the Cloister gets paralyzed by other means, it's just way harder to hold it off. Mara's not even messing with that, just going to attack immediately and get out to Rhydon. And Golem into Rhydon is a little wild. Like, of course, you come in and now you get to threaten it pretty immediately. But there's still a healthy Mewtwo in back, and the Golem just got chunked. And now it might not even be able to come into Mew. Well, I guess Mew's ranges on it are probably not ideal with Earthquake. You probably have to max roll it. And waking the Chansey on Mewtwo, so unfortunate for Maris that it woke up pretty quickly. This seems really hard now because like you can get stinged on the Mewtwo. Sung, I don't know. It's a move, not a verb here. But gonna heal up the Mew, gets a bit of luck here, and that's nice. The Mew being back in is pretty good. If I'm in Unowndragon's shoes, yeah, I would go to Snorlax here and not let this Mew get too much. You're immediately threatening to just boom, boom, boom through stuff depending on what your Mew set is. If the Mew has T-Wave, I'm not afraid of just ripping booms here. And gonna go to Chansey. Paralyzed Cloyster is gonna have a hard time clamping this down, so you're kind of trying to force it to boom. And if not, then Seismic Toss does enough damage to Mew that you get some Snorlax entries against it again. Going to Golem. Interesting. I guess you definitely want to boom this, surely, and just pressure the Mewtwo right away. Yeah. So that's good, depending on what the Mew is. Okay, that suggests that the Mew can't handle this Mewtwo, actually. Or just doesn't want to take the T-Wave, but either way, she's not going to try to stay in and mess around with that. Could be no recover, could just be I can't take para here. And resting the Cloy I don't love because now that's just going to be a free setup turn for Mew, whatever it has. Or a free T-Wave. Yeah, so that's the problem, right? You can't just boom it in return, so yeah, I think you just had to let the Cloyster go. And the T-Wave there from Mewtwo going down to Mew, and now it should just be over. It might take a bit because of Paras, but she would need to get a lot with this Mew to win this game. And now being faster, but Unowndragon going to reapply. It's back to a speed tie, and he's got the advantage on health and damage. Nothing happens here. And Hyper Beam, yeah, so this was always going to be hard, unless she had Hyper Beam on that Mew, but she didn't. So there was really no way out. And I mean, like I mentioned before with this team being restrictive, you can't really afford to run stuff like that. You kind of need the T-Wave support from Mew and Mewtwo to set up Cloyster and Rhydon. I just don't like this team very much. I'm not sure why multiple people have used it. I have to assume they're seeing something in the scout, but I feel like just Cloyster alone would have done so well against Golem, Snorlax, Eggy, and even Chansey. I think you just have to run the Cloyster alone and do some other stuff and provide some better support for it instead of going Cloydon and trying to hold down the Snorlax. Cloyster and Rhydon both individually provide a lot of offense and a lot of just ability to break through teams. But I just think both combined is asking too much support in Ubers. And that seems funny to say because there is more support available in Ubers than there is in OU for them, but like I just don't think this works. I think it needs a different lead at the very least, and I don't even think I believe in the concept like I just really don't believe in the concept very much. Unknown Dragon side, I really don't like this either. The Chansey Golem Snorlax Executor, like you're asking to get farmed really hard by Cloyster, and this is almost certainly Mono Blizzard Mewtwo. So the sole thing on this team that can do anything to Cloyster is Mew, and it needs to set up before it can do that. And I'm just noticing it's Body Slam Hyper Beam. So it's either Earthquake Blast to hit Gengar, or it's Soft Boiled to actually, live and take a hit. And if it's not Soft Boiled, this team is 6-0'd by Cloyster. Just flat out, it's 6-0'd by Cloyster. So I don't know. I don't think I'm not finding the coherence in Unknown Dragon's team. I'm not really liking the way that it's set up as 6, even if I think the Pokemon individually are fine. And I think there's like some solid ideas in there, but I just don't think it's super coherent conceptually. But works out in this case. And Hyper Beam Mew definitely did a lot for making that team better. If it wasn't Hyper Beam, I would say this team just doesn't work in general. But ultimately, Unknown Dragon wins the set. Unfortunate debut for Maris in this tournament, but I'm sure she'll pick it up in future weeks. She's a very good player, and I have confidence in her figuring it out. And that's the end of this first set of week 3. So I will see you all in the next one. Let me know what you think in the comments or on Discord or wherever.